You don't achieve your goals, you become the person who achieves them. So for example, most of you watching this video, you most likely want to make $10,000 a month, right? You need to become somebody who is capable of making that money. So you don't go after the output, the result, you build the character that can attract it, the identity. So it's really about framing it a little bit differently. Asking yourself these questions like, who do I need to become to get to X goal? And now I want to introduce the difference between input and output-based type goals, right? So in the beginning of my fitness journey, and again, I'm going to be tying this into my business later on, but I want to show you how I did this for my fitness first. In the beginning, I was very heavy on this output type based goal, which was I want to get a six pack, right? I wanted to get a six pack. I also wanted to get jacked. And this was me right before I started going to the gym. I was just a normal kid trying to get healthy, right? But the moment I reframed this and I said to myself, okay, I actually want to become the person who can get a six pack. But I thought to myself, okay, what is that person doing on a day to day, right? To get to this goal right here where I have a visible six pack and, I'm jacked. And I knew for a fact I had to change these three main things, right? The training, the dieting, and the lifestyle to get to that goal. So I was training like 4 times a week, right? Doing abs, 3 to 4 cardio sessions a week. I was also on a calorie deficit, right? So I was eating like below my maintenance, like at least 300, but also completely revolutionizing my lifestyle to where I'm sleeping efficiently, I'm drinking enough water, and I'm limiting like junk food and alcohol and really taking this shit seriously, right? On top of that, there was something that I truly had to do before I even got to this point. And it was bulking, right? And this was something that was needed in the process. And this is why I have like an insane moon face here. I was pretty freaking big. I was like 195 pounds at like 5'10", and I was pretty fluffy, right? But I knew that I needed to get to this version of myself to kind of build the foundation to then shred down and get a six pack, right? Because not only did I want a six pack, but I also wanted to get, just muscular, right? But this was something that I had to go to, right? This like extreme to be able to build that foundation, right? And then, I eventually did it where I got a visible six pack, I got my dream physique, and I was happy with myself, right? But this whole process, right, took about 2 years, right? And it was every single day, dialing my training, dialing my diet and the lifestyle as well. But you're probably wondering watching this video, like, how does this connect with business? This is awesome, right? Cool, you got a six pack, but now what? So then once I got the body I wanted, I wasn't quite yet fulfilled. I knew for a fact, like I wanted to start making really good money. And that's when I was like, okay, my new goal now is to start making $10,000 a month with organic drop shipping. And obviously in the beginning, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, right? I was starting from ground zero. I was working Uber Eats. I had just moved to Florida, starting from complete scratch, only had like 3 to 5 grand to my name, I think. And I was truly trying to make this shit work, right? But again, I was placing a very output-based type goal. I want to make 10K a month. That's what like my monkey brain was trying to tell me. But the moment I reframed it, I thought back to my fitness journey, okay, obviously I was able to get shredded, get a six pack, get huge. How do I look at this from a different frame and really just focus on the inputs that are going to get me to be a successful organic drop shipper, which I now am, right? And so I started looking at the inputs that I needed to really focus on. This time there were 4 different inputs, 4 high leverage tasks that I needed to focus on for my business, right? And that was obviously selecting the right product, filming for that product, posting every single day, and again, changing my lifestyle for it to be conducive to my goal, which was taking no days off and staying away from any sort of distractions or dopamine traps that I was used to in the past, right? Because at this time, right, I was jacked, right? But I was still doom scrolling, drinking, partying, getting with random chicks. And that for a fact was not conducive for me to get rich, right? So I knew I had to change my lifestyle to actually start optimizing for money rather than looks, right? And so that's exactly what I did. I started writing a written promise to myself back in 2024. So last year, you guys can literally see the timestamp here. This was in March of 2024 at 6:36 p.m. in Florida when I was living with my cousin, right? Literally just sleeping on his couch. And I wrote to myself, this year, I want to make $20,000 profit, right? I want to learn how to build a successful business from scratch, live in, Florida officially, right? Not like literally sleeping on a couch. And I will feel the best and I will give it my all. And so I started to break down this goal. Okay, so for me to make $20,000 profit by the end of the year, I knew for a fact I had to be making at least $50K revenue a month at 20% profit margins. Again, this was me back in the day when I was doing like normal drop shipping before I got to organic. Because now with organic, I'm able to like save, anywhere from 50 to 70% profit margins. But I was literally just breaking down the goal. And this is what I want to explain, like actually breaking down the goal for what it is and going into every single minute detail, right? Not only about the goal, but also about the processes that were needed, right? Slash inputs to get to that point. And so I was talking about like, okay, store ideas, what type of niches I wanted to get into, right? What type of products, right? What type of content I had to start making. I was going over like AOV, what my profit margins had to be, and how to actually successfully scale. And I was going into every single nitty gritty detail to actually get to that goal. I was breaking it down. I was actually creating a blueprint for myself. And at the end of the day, I knew for a fact I had to kill my old self, right? This was the Kevin before that was jacked, that had all the girls, but I was optimizing at this very moment for, just that type of stuff. And so I knew for a fact I had to let that stuff go and start reshaping my lifestyle and my identity to become the Kevin that's making $10,000 a month with organic dropshipping and getting away from all this stuff. So now, the brutal truth behind everything that I'm telling you right now is that if the current you right now watching this video was capable of achieving your goal, whatever that may be, you already would have. Right? And that's the sad reality. Whether you want to get rich, whether you want to get a six-pack, whether you want to start, some sort of business or move outside your hometown, whatever it may be, if you were capable of doing that, you would already be there. So you don't need new goals. You need a new version of yourself, right? A new identity to be able to be worthy of this goal, right? And so the reason I'm so passionate about this is because this shit truly works, guys, right? You are currently a stone. You are a malleable, carvable stone, and your identity is exactly that. You're a stone of pure potential, right? And your job every single day from now on, right, is to wake up daily, chisel the stone, and sculpt who you want to become, right? But first, you need to define the sculpture first. You need to actually have a goal set in place, something written that you're chasing every single day. Because if you don't, your life becomes a little bit jagged, unfocused, and you're not really going in with intention.